Hey, everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, July 24th, 2022. See, Ashland wasn't a danger to Harrison. He only got creepy after he was arrested for breaking the law. If everything had just gone his way, he would be totally fine. He and Harrison and Victoria would be eating raspberry gelato in the park right now. It's everyone else's fault he went crazy, you see. And it does indeed look like he is going crazy. Wow, that scene of Victoria throwing open the curtains and Ashland's just standing there outside of the patio, frowning and standing kind of steady where this windstorm is blowing everything else around him. It was straight out of a horror movie. And just like in a horror movie, the whole time I was screaming at my screen, "No, Victoria, don't let him in the house!" It was the same thing as when you're screaming, "No, don't go down into that dark and scary basement." I was like, "No, don't let him in." Oh, boy. How did we get here? We went from summer gelato in the park to Halloween summer storm. It's Halloween, right? Kind of feels like it. Oh, well. Let's just start at the beginning, because on Monday, Ashland was arrested without incident. He was handcuffed off screen, which was a shame because I always enjoy seeing someone get the cuffs put on. But we have to think of Harrison. We can't let anything happen in front of poor little Harrison. And we had all these really great shots of Ashland in the jail cell brooding, and just when Ashland thinks his lawyer has come to see him, nope! Psych! It was Victor. Victor goes to visit Ashland in jail and threatens him again. And it was this great dramatic scene. And I thought to myself, oh, well, this for sure tells me that the whole thing is leading toward Adam and Ashland partnering up together to frame Victor for Ashland's murder. But now it looks like Adam and Ashland won't be partnering at all. Adam paid a visit to Ashland's very messy hotel room, which the housekeeping staff was apparently willing to ignore in exchange for a cash payment. Nice touch. Nice touch, Y&R. The housekeeper just said, "I'll just look the other way in exchange for a wad of cash." I love that. But Ashland turned Adam down cold. Ashland actually let Adam go on about how badly he wanted to get revenge on Victor, but in the end, Ashland has no reason to trust Adam or anyone with the last name Newman. From Ashland's perspective, that whole thing could have been a setup. So Ashland tells Adam that they are on two totally different tracks. Adam may have Victor in his crosshairs, but Ashland is coming for Victoria. And he said it in a very scary and ominous way. It was so ominous, in fact, that Adam had to go and track down Victoria and told her that she needs to be wary of Ashland. She needs to be careful. I especially loved how Nick asked Adam how he knew all about Ashland, and Adam just casually admitted that he was going to Ashland to look for a partner to get back at Dad. It's just all part of the game, folks. It's just part of being a Newman. A second-class Newman, though, right? Well, at first, Victoria really didn't pay much mind to Adam's warning. She decided it was no big deal. She'll just go for a stroll in the park. It's a beautiful day. So what if my ex is out for blood? But she seemed to sense that Ashland was watching her, and he was. Oh. And there was this really great, creepy shot of him peeking out at her right by the Chancellor Park sign. Like he was thinking, do I want to kill Victoria today, or do I want to go to the duck pond? I'll just decide later. Oh, this is fun. Victoria goes home to her beautiful but creaky 1950s old style home, which I love, by the way. I think Victoria's house is one of my very favorite homes on the show. It was wonderful to see it. I'm really not even that big of a fan of blue. The place is blue and white and cream, and I'm not a big blue person, but I guess like the style of the crown molding, and I like the vertical blinds and all that, the built-in book shelving or the built-in shelving. It's all very retro, and it was meant to be retro. It was built during the Millie and Victoria had a very father's knows best kind of relationship, and they wanted the storybook home, and I think it still reflects that, even though the set has been updated. It's wonderful. I'd love to see more of Victoria's home. Oh, and we got the shot of the front door, the outside of the front door with all of the leaves blowing around in the storm. Oh, that was excellent. Was that new? Billy paid a visit to Victoria, and he could tell that she was spooked by Ashland. And when Billy left, he alerted Nick, which was the right thing to do, considering Ashland was creeping around, not at the front door. No, not at the front door where everyone enters. He was at the back door, like he was hanging out on the back patio or something. That is so rude. If you are going to accost someone, at least have the decency to ring the doorbell. Don't you think? Oh. This was a great week. Well, Ashland really started to lay into Victoria very intensely. And he started out with the whole "I'm a changed man" bit. And I really liked the part where he said something like, "You made me feel, and now I feel pain." Like he was Frankenstein's Loch Ness Monster or something. So intense, so good. But ultimately, there was nothing that he was saying that was going to make any difference to Victoria. So she asked him to leave, and he didn't. Gasp! He ran around the other side of the couch to try to trap her. Oh, I can't wait for next week. What is he gonna do? What is Ashland gonna do? Is he gonna hurt her? Is he gonna kidnap her? I mean, Nick is at the front door, but it may be too late. What a great Friday cliffhanger. Just how far is Ashland Locke willing to go? That's the question. And also the other question I have for you is how far does your sympathy for Ashland go? That's our poll question for this week. How much sympathy do you have for Ashland right now? A lot? A little? None? Go to yrchat.com to cast your vote and sound off on this Ashland lock development. Adam had conveniently gone missing at the same time that Ashland was getting arrested, which I still find to be a little suspicious. Sally was trying to contact Adam, but he wouldn't respond. And when he finally did emerge, what he had to say was definitely not what she was expecting to hear. I don't even know if Sally recognized the man who was standing in front of her, because the words that were coming out of his mouth were completely opposite to what he was saying to her just, a couple of days ago when they were in bed together. At that point, it was talk of love. But what he was saying to her now was, I don't recognize myself when I'm with you. Being around you has turned me into someone who plays victim to my family, when actually you're the reason that I am on the outside of my family. Getting involved with you caused Victor to lose respect for me, and it caused me to lose my position. So now I'm just gonna dump you so that I can work on getting my dad's respect back and, oh yeah, my identity back. Whoa! Harsh. And so unnecessary. I mean, the audience knows he's lying. Even Nikki and Nick said out loud this week that they suspect that Adam was lying about breaking up with Sally to help her secure his position, help her secure her position as CEO of Newman Media. But, I mean, why the ruse? I love the drama, but it's all so unnecessary. Because, first of all, Adam's plan supposes that taking himself out of the picture would help Sally's chances of getting to keep her job, which is just simply not true. I think, like Adam, Sally has been mostly tolerated, not appreciated by the Newman family. And second, if Adam was so determined to help Sally keep her job at any costs, then he could have just struck a deal with Victor and or Victoria. Or, I mean, specifically, he could have just taken a different position at Newman Enterprises, which was the deal that Victor offered him this week. And he's still sticking with his guns, keeping up the ruse that he is not in love with Sally. There's got to be something more going on here. Maybe Ashland and Adam are in cahoots, and we just didn't see part of their conversation or another meeting that they've had, because I'm confused, because breaking Sally's heart is so unnecessary to getting the job done. I mean, I appreciate the drama, but it's bordering on cruel. And of course, Sally guessed right away that he was just doing this to protect her job. And she said to him, Adam, you drop this act right now and I will forgive you. Great moment. But he did not take that deal. He just walked out on her, leaving her alone and in tears. And then he stopped to talk to Nick and Victoria to reinforce to them that Sally should get to keep her job. She's really good at it, which is all he needed to do in the first place. That's all he needed to do. Oh. That was all so awkward because Victoria was coming to Newman Media to fire Sally, and Nick was her henchman. Victoria, I think, was just still on a high from Victor's latest Newman Enterprises press conference, the one that they call like every week to announce their latest CEO switch. What I would not give to be a reporter at one of those press conferences. I would say, "Oh, excuse me, Mr. Newman, this is Allie from the Y&R Chat Press. Can I be the CEO sometime too, please?" I mean, if everyone is taking turns, then I would like a chance to get hired and fired by you. I really would. Oh my gosh, these press conferences. Well, the Newman PR machine was definitely trying to do a little dance around the fact that Adam wasn't there. They were publicly wishing Adam well and then privately wondering what he's planning. And no one was planning on giving Sally a break. In fact, Victoria pretty much let Sally know during the press conference live that her head was on the chopping block. And then Victoria came to Newman Media to fire Sally. And oh my gosh, that scene was so good. Sally's standing there with tears still fresh in her eyes, but trying to hide them and trying to be strong. Something was really kind of powerful going on during that scene. I thought that Courtney Hope did a really wonderful job of just giving us the sense that she was really trying to pull it together. She just got a bomb dropped on her by Adam, and now she was waiting for the follow-up bomb, and I just really liked her appeal. It felt like you could see her passionately arguing for herself and something sort of changing in the room. You could really sort of see Nick and Victoria's reactions changing, and maybe even the way that they saw her changing. It was just very noticeable. I think that Nick is a real influence on Victoria right now too, because Sally was saying how much this job means to her. This is the most important thing that's ever happened to her, and she's been working really, really hard. She had just hired Chloe to be her COO/nag. That's got to be on Chloe's nameplate. COO/professional nag. It's what she's good at. Chloe was going to nag Sally when she was with Adam, and now Chloe is just going to be nagging Sally to make sure she's not still pining for Adam. It was pretty much the same thing that Chloe did with Chelsea, who took particular delight this week in learning that Adam and Sally had broken up. What was it that Chelsea said? Oh, good luck with the job that Adam gave you while you were sleeping with him. At least he left you with something. Ooh, damn! Whew. That's gotta sting. 'Cause it's also kinda true. But Victoria liked Sally's ideas, and Victoria agreed to keep Sally around on probation for 3 months to see how she does in the job. Sally's going to throw herself into work, but she's also going to continue to try to get through to Adam, telling Adam that, if he's just breaking up with her to help her keep her job, then she doesn't want it. I don't know how much more clear she could be, but so far, Adam is not listening. And this is where it starts to tick me off, because you can't say that you're doing something for someone if they are blatantly telling you that that's not what they want. He's not really doing it for Sally then. If she's telling him it's not what she wants, that just means that Adam is supposing what Sally wants, which is wrong. You shouldn't suppose what someone else wants. You shouldn't suppose that what someone else says they want for themselves isn't correct. I mean, in the end, it just means that Adam is doing what he wants, and that's not fair to her. And so, frankly, I think that Sally should hook up with Nick. while Adam is off playing these reindeer games. After Adam broke up with Sally, he went out for a drink at Society, and he ran into Jack. Now, Jack has had years of experience in revenge seeking on Victor, so Jack may have some wisdom to share here. But Adam denied that he was on a warpath against Victor, and he didn't open up to Jack very much at all. But it was still good to see Jack checking in on his former protege. Never mind the fact that Jack was probably just itching to get away from Ashley, who surprisingly was defending Phyllis. I guess that Ashley just sees Phyllis as the lesser of two evil girlfriends when it comes to Jack's twisted romantic life. Oh. Jack did admit this week that he still loves Phyllis, and that's why it all hurts so much. Well, of course. But he also said that they're better off as friends. And I found that very interesting because then Phyllis tried twice to talk to Jack this week. Once it was about the relationship, but once it was as a friend, and he wasn't really having it either time. So, are you friends or aren't you friends? I don't know. Then again, I think that Phyllis was just probably trying to manipulate. I think she was probably just looking for Jack to validate her place in Genoa City after Lily gave her a monster offer to buy the Grand Phoenix Hotel. What do you guys think of this? Nobody's talked about this yet this week. I don't think I've seen any comments this week about the hotel deal. Are you guys rooting for her to sell it? I mean, she said no at first, of course, but it's going to happen. And maybe that's why nobody's talking about it, because it just feels like a foregone conclusion. I did like the scene, though. I thought Lily made a great pitch, and I especially appreciated the way that Lily addressed all of Phyllis's objections one by one, and then she made a compelling argument about how this could be a fresh start for Phyllis. And in the previews for next week, we see Phyllis talking to Summer a little bit, trying to show some interest in a job at Marchetti. You know, I understand that the idea is to move Phyllis into Diane's orbit on a more regular basis, but I'm also sad to see Phyllis not being at the hotel, because I think that Phyllis is just the perfect hotel hostess. I think she's the perfect party planner, and now if Lily buys the thing, I think it's just going to end up being another extension of one of our corporations, and as we've talked about a little bit, it feels like there's just absolutely no small businesses in this town other than the coffee house. Watch. Next week, Newman Enterprises will decide to buy Crimson Lights. Diane bought herself a lot of goodwill with Summer and Kyle for turning Ashland over to the cops. But the rest of Genoa City is not so quick to heap on the praises. Phyllis, Nikki, and now Ashley have formed an alliance to drive Diane back to hell from whence she came. They even had a first official meeting of the club. What was it? The Destroy Diane Club? Jettison Jenkins Club? I loved those scenes. It was just fun, especially when Ashley and Phyllis got into everything that had happened between Phyllis and Jack, and Nikki was just sitting there sipping her tea with this very interested look on her face. Yeah, it was a fun scene. But they didn't really come up with any kind of strategy on how to get rid of Diane, except nag some more. That's all they came up with. Well, let's find everybody we can nag about it some more. That's all they can do. Ultimately, I don't think there's anything else they can do. There's really only two options. Number one, they could set Diane up. I mean, that worked when it came to Ashland. Or number two, they're just going to have to wait for Diane to slip up. And maybe that's the key, because this week Nikki made a comment like, oh, it's good to see that Diane is starting to feel comfortable, because that means that she'll make a mistake. And I thought, oh, well, that is true. Diane is getting more comfortable, and we do see a slight slipping of the mask on occasion these days. I mean, there's only so far that Diane is gonna let those three lady vipers push her before she strikes back. Do you guys remember last week how Tracy ever so gracefully told Allie that she did not want to be gossiping about Jack or Diane or Phyllis, and how any questions that Allie may have about Jack's love life should be addressed with Jack directly? Yeah, well, meet Jack's other sister, Ashley. She don't give a crap about being graceful. She sat right down with Allie and started pumping Allie for information on Diane the same way that Phyllis did. And to Allie's immense credit, Allie told Ashley, look, I may be young, but I am not naive. I am not going to be manipulated by Diane or Phyllis or you. Oh, boom! Go, Allie! I thought that was great. I said out loud to my screen, go, Allie! You tell it, Allie. Whew. And then she went upstairs and got dressed. She put on her pretty pink and white flowery dress for her date. She was like, dropped a truth bomb and then sort of, floated upstairs, put on her dress, and came down in her flouncy little party dress. I loved it. I think Allie's character really needed that moment. I think Allie needed to tell the audience that she is no Gidget. I guess I just only wish that she would have left it right there. I didn't need Allie to come back downstairs and double check with Ashley to make sure that Ashley wasn't offended. Allie had the nerve to say it. I kind of wish she just would have held her head high and said nothing and pranced right out the door in her cute little dress. I would have given her double points for that. But it's okay. It's okay. It's all good. Allie is a nice person, and I like nice people, and I like knowing that Ashley gave her due respect, because I do think that a lot of times people are dismissive of the younger ones, and I think just because you're young doesn't mean that your feelings and your opinions are any less valid. I think that us old fogies have to remember that. I mean, we were young and restless ones too. Tessa is having vocal cord surgery tomorrow, but it already feels like tomorrow everywhere else. Are we going to get to see Tessa doing the prep for her surgery, or are we just going to pick up with her afterwards? Inquiring minds want to know. Oh. I loved how the girls spent the day before the surgery lounging on the rooftop bar in their swimsuits with their frosty drinks, and they ran into Allie and Noah, and that's where Noah first announced that he wants to turn Top of the Tower into a nightclub. Just like how everything was at Mariah and Tessa's wedding, only 365 days of the year. Sounds good to me. But what's Victor gonna say about that? Maybe Victor will agree to a nightclub in his building on the condition that he gets to guest DJ on occasion. Oh Lord, what kind of music would Victor Newman play at a nightclub? What kind of music does Victor Newman listen to? Gregorian chants, I assume. No, there's got to be something modern. What modern? It has to be like an artist, like a mainly modern artist who's still producing music that would speak to Victor Newman. Who would it be? Can you think of anyone? Leave me a comment this week. Tell me who's a mainly modern artist who is still producing music that Victor Newman would listen to. And maybe, what about Nikki? I mean, we all know that Nikki's favorite artist is Leslie Brooks. But is there anyone else Nikki would listen to? What about Jack? Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a whole new topic. I can't veer off too far. Roy Orbison. I feel like Jack would listen to Roy Orbison. Yeah! Oh, the sort of dreamy, always wanting type, lovelorn type of music. Yeah, that would be Jack. Okay, I have to stop. But you guys can pick that up. Well, I think it's a surefire bet that Tessa Porter is going to be performing at the nightclub eventually, right? Although I laughed when Noah suggested that maybe she could perform there, and she said, "Aw, Noah, you can't afford me." That was adorable. Yeah, Noah and Tessa are very friendly now. He was talking with her completely casually about his relationship with Allie, as if that's not kind of awkward, as if he was not tortured in love with her just a couple of months ago. But Noah has moved on now. It's like he's building a brand new life. He and Allie shared their first kiss this week. I mean, they actually shared a couple of kisses, but the first one was my favorite because Jack totally walked in on it. Oh, how I love that awkwardness. And I do also love that the Abbott mansion is filled with love again. Young love at that. And it seems like a lot of 20-somethings are living with family these days and probably dealing with similar moments of trying to have an adult life full of things such as kisses. But then there's a whole household of awkward family moments to maneuver around. So I think this is a situation like Allie living with her grandpa that probably speaks to the Gen Zs and the millennials. I think that's really interesting. It's funny to me because I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 and I never looked back. And it was not that I had a bad home life at all. Quite the opposite. Very comfortable, but I wanted my independence and I was willing to sleep on a mattress on the floor to get it. Different times. Oh. Yeah, Noah's definitely in a place of transition, and Sharon gave him some great relationship advice this week. Oh, such a good scene. I was really, really impressed with the way it was written because Sharon was honing in on the fact that Noah has had two parents with a complicated relationship. And she suggested that maybe he had been gravitating toward complicated relationships of his own. And in fact, she said, since your first crush, that was the kind of girl. I love that it came off like a mother who knew her son. You've always been gravitated toward, relationships that are complicated. And maybe you saw that as normal because of your father and I. But now Noah is in a place of realizing that it's okay to have a comfortable relationship that is drama-free, or at least drama-light. But again, maybe speaking to the Gen Z and the millennials, Noah also has this additional family plight of needing to have career independence. I mean, he's trying to find himself in his career right now, and also navigating away from what is a family business. Noah did share his career news with his dad this week, and Nick was totally accepting. I mean, we spent all this time building up on Noah's anxiety of telling his dad, and then in the end, Nick was so accepting. And can I just again say how effortlessly charming Nick has been lately. I mean, I am just so much more in love with Nick now than I've ever been. And I mean, I've known this character for, I mean, how long have we known Nick? 30 years at this point? Maybe 25. I'm just so totally looking forward to seeing what is next for Noah, especially at Top of the Tower. Maybe Noah can even mix up the theme at Top of the Tower and keep things visually fresh. I mean, if it's kind of a theme thing, then maybe we could do a different theme every season or something, and that will give us something visually different to see as the seasons change. I'm also kind of looking forward to seeing Noah's business pitch to Victor about the whole thing. I mean, that ought to be entertaining. Grandpa, upscale dining is out and partying all night is in. I gave you guys what I thought was a really hard Who Said It quote last week. The quote was, "I smell fear." I really thought nobody was going to guess it because it was just the tiniest little nothing of a moment. But the answer was Faith. Faith and Noah and Sharon and Nick were meeting for their family dinner, and Nick was about to announce his mystery news that he was returning to Newman Enterprises, and Faith just looked and said, "I smell fear." It was such a cute little moment for Faith, and I also felt like that's probably going to be one of my last opportunities to pick a Faith quote for a while. But I'm very impressed that Daisy, Henry, Michelle, Dolores, Tina Cole, Brittany, Victoria, and Ron all got it right. I thought for sure it would be no one. Maybe it'll be no one this week. Please forgive me for this ridiculous pick, but I have to do this. I'm just plucking out a phrase for this week because I have to know if this clunked down into anybody else's brain the way it clunked down into mine. Who said the phrase romantic assignation? Romantic assignation? What the heck is that? I had to look it up. I'm not going to give you the definition because that might give away the quote. But if you know who said the phrase romantic assignation, then you should go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Also from last week, I asked you guys if you like Allie and Noah or if you're not into them. 71% really like Allie and Noah together. Only 29% of you were not into it. Let's start with Shelly, who says, "I love Allie and Noah. Finally, we've moved away from Noah pining over his sister's woman. This is the first time that I'm actually liking this Noah. Allie is a breath of fresh air. She is so cute, and I love her personality. Her and Noah can be the Abbott-Newman couple of the future." Oh yeah, that's right. I guess I didn't fully think about the fact that Allie's an Abbott, Noah's a Newman, and that makes total sense. Maybe that's why they cast her in the first place. Gary says, Noah's cynicism, if you want to call it that, buffers Allie's enthusiasm, and they are a great couple. That is better than most. Fans celebrated their going out to dinner, even if it was a bit of a dud, because they have not seen such old world courtship in years. Noah is awesome in buffering the embarrassing date concept in asking Allie out by explaining how they don't have to define the dining as an archaic date, but rather a job celebration between friends. Quote, "I would love to go out to dinner with you, Noah," says Allie. It's always effective when one takes on using the name of the other in a conversation. Just a little tip for you daters out there. Allie is in ALI is losing patience for pushing this couple to go farther, but I'm content with the here and now. A couple in love who have yet to kiss holds my interest, but once they cast aside all inhibitions, there is less to root for. It's over. This is a great comment, Gary, and I like it a lot because I agree. When it's in that flowering stage is when it is most interesting. And now, you left this comment earlier in the week, but now they have had their first kiss. They've had some more kisses, presumably down the line. Maybe they'll have a lovemaking scene. And you make a good point that once that's over, it's over. Ellen says, "I like them together and Noah needed a story desperately, but they will need some kind of challenge or drama before long or it will become too routine." Yeah, I wonder when exactly we're going to get there. I mean, at what point is it too routine and we're going to need the drama? Well, this is interesting. Tony says, "We have accepted the Soraz syndrome as long as there have been soaps. But I can't get used to the sorries. That's soap opera rapid rewind youngening syndrome." The sorries. Tony says it takes away time and storylines that the characters have lived. Adam, now Noah? So I do like Noah and Allie together, but they seem marginally out of the teen genre. Noah is supposed to have been in business, in relationships, worked in London, a long time out of high school. Allie just finished her degree, making her 22, 23, and the actress portrays that. Noah, in all his experience, would be about 10 years older. Oh well, this is soap, so I vote yes because I don't want them to recast Allie. If they break up these two, or better pair them, she'll be the one to go. Oh, well, first of all, did you invent this? The sorries, the soap opera rapid rewind youngening syndrome. Yeah, that had not occurred to me at all. But in fact, Naomi says, "Thanks for putting the age difference out there for discussion. I try not to think about previous storylines involving Noah so that I can enjoy this new friendship with Allie. I have just as much trouble with Sharon back when she was with Ray and Adam. I like this Noah more now that he's smiling and joking around. So if Allie's bringing him out of the moody darkness, then I like them together even if it just is as friends." Yeah, I just guess I didn't notice the age difference between them. I would have put them both maybe at around, well, I don't know. If Allie is out of school, I guess I assumed it was graduate school. I think maybe she talked about graduate school. That would put her maybe closer to 25 or 26. And Noah, yeah, I mean, he might be in that same age range, if not a little bit older. How old do you think these guys are? That's a good question. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about it. But I mean, Adam, yeah. Yeah, Adam definitely got younger. I have noticed that before, but that's a great point. Well, Sue W. says, "The actor portraying Noah seems very natural to me, but I do still think the actress portraying Allie often projects as though she's performing on a stage rather than playing to the small screen, and that always pulls me out of the moment. I hate to catch actors acting. I don't know. Somehow to me, Noah and Allie just don't fit well together, and I can't pinpoint why. Maybe it's the contrast in the actors' deliveries. Maybe it's the contrived dialogues. Maybe it's the happenstance storyline. Maybe it's the cutesy elders beaming at how charming the kids are. Maybe it's the ... question mark. Yeah, I feel my stance on Allie and Noah is that it's a contented smile. I am at contented smile with Allie and Noah. I don't feel passionately happy about them. I mean, I'm happy for them. I'm smiling. at Allie and Noah. I don't passionately love them. I don't passionately dislike them. But I think those are some interesting points of why you feel like it's not working. Has anyone else noticed Allie maybe projecting more for the stage? That had not occurred to me, but I will have to watch for that now too. Oh, and how about this alternative idea from Sherrod, who says, I still believe that Allie is out to do harm to the Abbotts. She told Ashley she may seem naive, but she's not, and nobody manipulates her. So, for me, the question becomes, did Allie realize that the Abbotts and everyone in Genoa City would be so focused on Diane and her misdeeds that they would not realize what she was truly doing? Allie gave up her life in LA pretty fast and is already working in the chem lab at Chabot. Anybody heard of the word sabotage? Oh, that would be so good if she was working with chemo. Hold on. Hear me out. I mean, if we're getting to have our theories here, that would be pretty good if Allie was actually working with chemo, worked her way into the Chabot Chem Lab, and is working towards sabotage for revenge for her father. I really like that. Even if you take the chemo out of it, I think it's an interesting theory. Also from Sherrod, it was deja vu hearing Mariah tell Allie that she can depend on Noah because he's one of the good guys. She said the same thing to Tessa when she first came to town and started dating Noah. Then she fell in love with Tessa. Will Mariah be going after Allie too? After all, they both work at Chabot. Oh, that's true, because Noah and Tessa had their moment. And then Allie and Mariah had their moment. I hadn't thought about it as a potential hookup for later on down the road. Ooh. Well, Victoria says, I love Tessa's new look. Her highlights emphasize her eyes, and her poolside makeup gives her a fresh look. She's always beautiful, but this one is one of my favorites. Oh, yeah, Victoria. I mean, Tessa looks different and so beautiful. I mean, I definitely noticed she has, maybe it's a lighter hairstyle, maybe a little bit different makeup, but the actress even just seems so much different, so much more comfortable. She has confidence or something that just exudes from her. And yeah, I thought she looked radiant on the rooftop this week. Well, Ellen says, now on to the most important subject, Adam's hair. I believe it is as moody and untamed as the man himself. They have tried various cuts, styling tools, lotions, sprays, and potions, but that hair is going to do whatever it wants. I'm just thankful that it hasn't been in Jughead mood lately. That was not great. If he has an odd hair day, I recommend just focusing on the cheekbones. Works every time. His wild, untamed hair. I think his hair is looking a lot better lately. Definitely softer. They've definitely they're doing less product, or the product is less obvious in his hair. But you know, the other thing is Miss Sally Spectra has some cheekbones on her too. I think Sally and Adam maybe got paired together just on the cheekbone factor. But yeah. Oh. Victoria says Courtney Hope did a phenomenal job of showing gut-wrenching heartbreak. I felt for Sally, and I'm glad Sally figured out Adam's motivation for the breakup. What a savvy character. Yeah, because Sally definitely could have just gone, okay, well, I guess so, but she didn't. She's confident in what she thinks, and she's right. And yeah, that's a little bit of a twist on the old school idea. I mean, we've sort of seen this type of story before. You know, the breakup is for the other person's good, but the other person doesn't know it and is heartbroken. But Sally knows it, and that is what makes it a little bit different. Gary says, for me, it took her a long time to substantially plant her feet in Genoa City, but she has. I can see why people have liked her from Bold and the Beautiful. She's incredibly strong and forceful, but vulnerable. A fine actress, and I'm not even thinking about the tears that fell out of her eyes yesterday. Sally is a real crackerjack presence. Tough and hip, and as Adam mentioned to Victoria and Nick yesterday, I suspect very loyal, true blue in the end. I don't think Y&R has had someone quite like her before. No doubt. Yeah, I do think Sally is unique. The character is unique, and the actress brings something unique. Tough, strong, forceful, yet vulnerable. And Adam is that way too. I mean, and I love characters like that, who really can come, what would you say, crackerjack. They can really be that crackerjack, but then when you start to see those little moments of insecurity, then, hurt, that really helps bond you to them. Ellen agrees, saying, a very well-crafted character portrait. Sally's all heart. She has been on an emotional roller coaster this week. She didn't believe Adam was breaking up with her. Then she did. Then she was confused. Then Victoria said, quote, we wouldn't have kept you on if you were still with Adam. And bingo, she knew. But Adam probably won't admit the truth and will keep saying mean things because he wants Sally to be able to rise professionally. Adam doesn't value himself as a person enough to jeopardize that. Oh, the pain, the heartache. Poor Sally and Adam, their happiness ruined. Tune in again tomorrow for more. Yeah, nailed it. Yeah, I think Gary makes a great point that Sally took some time to plant herself in Genoa City, but now she has, and I think that's why the viewer empathizes with her and why the story is working, even though it's a little bit of a leap to think that was the for Adam's reasoning. But what'd you say, Ellen? Adam doesn't value himself as a person enough to jeopardize that. To jeopardize Sally's professional rise, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting dig in on Adam's true motivations here as well. But here's Daisy with a more critical take on Sally. Daisy says, who knew weeping over a breakup would get you a high-powered job? And now Chloe will be the COO? It's crazy. It's not a startup company, and leadership positions are not training jobs for new employees. You have to have something to offer, and drive isn't always it. I hope Sally succeeds, but I can't imagine she will because she's in over her head, and Victor will do whatever it takes to bring Adam back, even if it means making the media division independent again. But it will be without Sally. I'm guessing Victor can pull the reins out from under her at any time. And then when she's lost everything yet again, she may end up targeting Chelsea. Somewhere deep inside, Sally blames Chelsea for her breakup with Adam because she knows Adam still loves Chelsea. Oh, this is another good point, too, about, sort of the flaw in Adam's plan. I mean, it's really not, Adam can help Sally rise professionally, and maybe she'll be able to keep this job for a while, but the truth is, Victor can yank it out from under Sally anytime he wants to. Victoria can yank it out from under Sally anytime that they want to. So it's no more of a stable position than when Adam was in the role. I mean, you would think that Adam would realize that what comes with this job is not worth it, and that he wouldn't actually want that for her. But again, it's all plot related. But I think this is an interesting theory that deep down Sally resents Chelsea because Adam still loves Chelsea. Oh yeah, it's definitely possible that those moments that we saw between Chelsea and Sally on Friday, where it seemed like Sally couldn't keep her eyes off of Chelsea, that's really about a little bit of Sally's insecurity seeping through. Well, Ellen says, remember when Lauren went ballistic just because Sally offered Victoria an alternative choice for her wedding gown? Sally has been branded evil and unscrupulous ever since. But Chelsea, the poisoner, quits as lead designer in the middle of making an important collection, and it's perfectly fine. It took 30 seconds for Lauren to get over all the time, money, energy invested in Chelsea and Chloe. Even though Chelsea called in a substitute designer, where is volatile Lauren? I thought she was someone you don't mess with. How does Chelsea deserve a pass? Unbelievable. Oh yeah, Chelsea definitely. I think it's fully because Y&R realizes that they have not put enough effort into revitalizing Chelsea's character, and so now I think they're just trying to yank her out of one story and put her into something where we can see the reformed Chelsea. I think Y&R wants us to see that Chelsea isn't Chelsea the Poisoner anymore. She's truly changed. She's just not that person anymore. Well, Diana says, I look forward to watching Chelsea and Billy begin to grow closer now that they're working together. I'm very happy that Chelsea's on the show and that Y&R has kept her on and given her a new storyline. It's going to be very interesting and exciting to see Lily's reaction as Billy and Chelsea gradually begin to bond both professionally and personally. Billy and Chelsea both share the bond of a son together that Lily can't compete with. It will also be interesting to see Victoria's reaction as well. This storyline makes me want to continue tuning into the show. Oh, good. And hey, Daisy says, Chelsea getting close to men who don't get along with Adam, to say the least, might just be a ploy to get back at Adam in her mind, throwing her away. I think that's really interesting too, because Chelsea definitely had some opinion about what happened between Adam and Sally, and she definitely still has her eye on Adam. And then she went to her meeting with Billy. Well, boy, Billy's outfit sure made a stir on Friday. Naomi says, I think Billy's white slacks and pale blue sweater had a Dean Martin Rat Pack vibe. I could picture them having a drink at the athletic club, Billy ordering his scotch neat, and probably a martini for Dean. We need Victor back at the athletic club. He looks silly sitting around at society. Oh, yeah, and Leslie notes that we don't often see our men in light colors. Yeah, I think that's what it is, a white pant and a pale blue sweater. Billy's got some good fashion. I mean, Billy definitely is not afraid to wear something different, and sometimes it's a miss, but sometimes it's a hit. And yeah, I thought he looked really nice for summer in those white slacks and pale blue shirt. Oh, well, how about we talk about Ashland Locke? Gary says, the thing Ashland has to understand is that just because Victoria changed him, turning him into the sensitive soul he is today, doesn't mean that that it is her responsibility to accept that new person. Yeah, it's interesting because that's the same argument that I was making last week about Diane. Well, just because Diane has changed doesn't mean it's everyone else's responsibility to accept that. So I think that's a good point. Kamna says, does anyone think that maybe Ashland wants to drive Victoria or another Newman to hurting him? Yeah, see, I know I have a hard time believing that he's being true, like he's going to Victoria and he's seeming to plead for her love back, but it's got to be something more. It's got to be part of a bigger plan, right? Like he's maybe goading them into doing something to hurt him. Ooh. Ambrini says, I feel like they are recycling a bit of the JT storyline. He was kind of stalking her, remember? If Ashland becomes irredeemable and written into a corner, I feel like he'll be gone from the show permanently. I really like him and Robert Newman looks so different and younger without the beard, yet somehow more menacing. I want him to stay. Yeah, Daisy also mentions that this is great because I kind of didn't make the JT connection. I think you're right, and it's sort of a weird move by Y&R after Victoria went through this very notable domestic abuse storyline. And yes, it does ring still of that time with JT. But Daisy, this is great. Daisy says, Ashland used what JT did to Victoria by behaving in a similar way to try to make her insecure, no longer strong. So you think of course he knows that about his wife. Are they divorced? I think are they still technically married, right? No, they're divorced. I don't know. No, it was annulled. But he knows that she went through that, and so you think he was using that to make her feel vulnerable. Daisy goes on to say, Ashland's still in the throes of his con. Victor's fortune is too big for him to walk away from. Changing tactics doesn't change his endgame. Hurting Victoria gets Victor and the other Newmans focused on her. The worry about Victoria would put Victor off his game, and Ashland can then maneuver his way to Victor's fortune, no one's mind in the store, so to speak, or so he mistakenly believes. Ashland is not deranged, but methodical. Everything he does is for a reason, planned out to manipulate and to sway. So now we're starting to see the real con artist that Ashland is, beginning to rear its ugly little head, and what Victor has is his prize. Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. Yeah, I don't think Ashland's maybe totally not out of his mind. I think you're right. He's methodical and he's working on a plan somehow. Oh, let's talk about this restraining order. I don't know why, but I just love this topic. But Ellen says, so Harrison will now be permanently separated from both parents who raised him for 4 years. Are we supposed to believe he never asks for Tara and that it would be good for him to lose all contact with Ashland? Well, Kyle carelessly made a baby with a married woman. Whatever the rich boy at Genoa City wants, the rich boy of Genoa City gets. All others are low-life garbage that the children will never miss. And Victoria says, well, serving the restraining order only makes sense for the plot. Just because Ashland lied about having cancer doesn't mean he still can't be a good parent. I would love it if the judge ended up throwing out the restraining order, and I can see Victor and Nikki going ballistic on that one. And Sue W. says, while I would agree that, quote, just lying about cancer doesn't mean that Ashland can't adequately parent. His colossal liar, pants on fire makes him a terrible role model. But his lobbing Harrison over to Kyle because poor Harrison shouldn't suffer through father's illness was all based on total BS. Ashland didn't seem to care much about being separated from Harrison as long as it served as a lie, which indicates that his love for Harrison is conditional and certainly not the priority, which doesn't make a good parent. Ashland is, by all accounts, a great parent when he wants to be. That's oxymoronic. Kids deserve better. No kids deserve best. Oh, I don't know why I love this argument, but I do. Oh, I don't know. It's just kind of fun because I kind of fall more with Sue W. right there, where it's like, well, he didn't care about Harrison when he was planning his new life in New York with Victoria either. It seems like he's only honed in on Harrison when it suits him, and I don't think Y&R did a good enough job of really showing that Ashland was trying to get around the restraining order. Oh, well, how about this? Diana says, I thought the storm was well done and felt realistic. But what didn't make sense, though, was that we could see the weather was stormy when Noah and Nick were talking on the patio at the coffee shop. We also saw the intensity of the storm at Victoria's home as the doors were rattling and the wind was blowing hard. Somehow, when Noah went on his date with Allie on the rooftop bar, the weather was perfectly fine on the same evening. I thought Noah was going to cancel the date due to the weather. But apparently the dive bar gets different weather than the rest of Genoa City. Oh, you didn't know that, Diana? The higher you go up, the calmer the weather gets. No storms at the rooftop bar, the dive bar. It's just paradise. He did mention that it was a little windy. I think he did mention something about it, but it was a whole lot bigger storm everywhere else, that's for sure. Hey, let's end on this little fun note. Victoria says, I have a unique idea for Genoa City's new threesome to take down Diane. How about a podcast? Victoria, this is the best idea that I have heard all week. A podcast would solve everything. I mean, that would be something new and fresh. And wait a minute, I've got another idea. They could use a voice changer to disguise themselves so no one in town knows who's doing it, who's talking bad about Diane on a podcast. Oh, it's brilliant. This is another winning idea right here. Print script. Okay, chatters, it's time for my nap. But it's also time for you to go to yrchat.com to leave me your comments, and I will be back next Sunday to talk about it all. I love you guys. Have a good week. Bye.